Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name's Matt Moore. Whew, what a great offseason. It's good to get some time away and really be able to just get some rest and get rested up and, start fresh. And here we are back 48 hours later because the NBA has to get the draft in and they didn't want to start the finals earlier. So here we are. No, we're excited to talk about NBA draft. You should have checked out the episode with Brandon Anderson, senior NBA futures analyst, and Brian Fonseca talk about draft this afternoon. They were also on the favorites, so you can go check them out there as well. Lots to talk about the NBA draft. Lots of ways about the NBA draft. A little bit better market. I feel like than the NFL one. I feel like you guys got screwed with what the markets allowed for the NFL draft. This one's we got some pretty good stuff here. I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. Although even just comparatively to like 2-3 years ago in the NBA draft, I feel like we have a lot less options now, even compared to then. Like limits are pretty low. This is not a best bets episode per se compared to our usual. Like we're gonna cash some bets today. This is like here's some fun sprinkles. Let's have a party and watch the draft. Let's bet some quarter units here and there. For me personally, betting the draft, I'm a long shots better. Like I'm sure that's real stunning news compared to all the other bets that I do. But like my style is I'm going to bet on uncertainty. I'm going to say, okay, here's what all the rumors are saying. All right, well, that's what all the steam says now too. I wasn't in time for that. I don't have the intel. You're the intel, Matt. That's all I've got. But I'm usually getting it second and third hand at best. And by the time I see it, the numbers have already reflected it. I'm going to go the other way and say, okay, how much is a smoke screen? What if this isn't true? Maybe this long shot will happen. And this is the sort of night for me, Matt, when I log into the Action app and I'm like 1 in 9 plus 1.2 units because I just need one. I just need one long shot to come through, or I'm 0 and 11, but only like -2.5. Let's not go crazy and have a little fun and watch the draft. And we've already got guys moving left and right. So it seems like the promised crazy offseason is already kicking off here.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been busy. There hasn't been earth shakers, but like Boston's basically no more.
Yeah.
Like the championship core of Boston no longer is there anymore. Porziņģis and Holiday are both gone, and they're still taking offers for Jaylen Brown and Derek White. They are unlikely to trade them, I think, but they're still taking offers for those guys. Atlanta made a big move adding Porziņģis. That one's going to be a real interesting one and that's going to furrow some heads over the summer, I think, as we talk about the Hawks a little bit more. But Brandon, this news came down on Sunday morning, and we did not get a chance to talk about it because we decided to give the NBA draft, the NBA finals their due and actually talk about the basketball and talked about the basketball side. So you and I have not had a chance to react to the Kevin Durant trade. Kevin Durant traded the Houston Rockets from the Phoenix Suns for Jaylen Green, Dillon Brooks, one little first rounder, 10th pick, and 5 second-round picks. Good for them.
The Jay Crowder specialty.
So I guess let's just like real quick. Give me the 10 word. Give me your summation of what you think about that trade.
Okay, 10 words. Here we go. Off the top of my head, 10 words. Jaylen Green bad, Dillon Brooks worse, Kevin Durant awesome, Rockets. There's your 10 words. Like,
pretty good.
I don't like Green. I don't like Brooks at all. I've never liked discount Dillon. I don't like either of them. It's addition by subtraction and addition by adding the greatest second banana in NBA history, who's going to have to be the first banana on this team now. And you're saying, hey, let's play some defense still, but let's have a taller Dillon Brooks. That's a stretch. But an actual guy that makes the shots, Jaylen Green in Kevin Durant. And that does it not just in March for 2 weeks to get the contract, not just once a month to wow everybody, but at night after night, bucket after bucket, because that's what Durant has always done back in Texas. I'm excited about that for Kevin Durant. I'm excited for Kevin Durant to be relevant again. I hope we're adding him to the 2 seed. So that seems interesting. I don't know if the Rockets are really the number 2 favorites in the NBA now, like the books have it. Yeah. That seems aggressive. What do you think?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I said and wrote about was just like, don't bet into this now. And this is our standard thing of just like, look, somebody's going to do something over the next 10 days that even just by the presence of being newer, flashier, bigger is going to probably move the Rockets down and that other team up. So it is very unlikely that plus 850, plus 700, wherever you're at in the market, that this is the best number you're going to get on them. Like, I think there there might be a time to bet on the Houston Rockets. The formula, I will say, I have gotten to like it the more I've written about it, because I have an article going up tomorrow on the Substack about it. And like, I like it the more I've thought about it, because here's like a pretty easy summation. Hey, what are the Thunder? Well, they're like an elite all-time unbelievable defense, and then they have one great isocentric player. Is that isocentric player a great passer? No. Does he really make all his teammates better? Not necessarily. What's he really good at? Making buckets. What are the Rockets? A really great elite top 5 defense that added an isocentric scoring mega forward, 7 feet, 50, 40, 90. So a lot of, I like the fit more, and it'll be interesting to see how big of a favorite they are for the division, right? Because like that was my first thought, was like, maybe we can get it, and then I was like, no, because you're like, you have to downgrade the Grizzlies, you have to downgrade the Mavericks because Kyrie's out. The Pelicans are the Pelicans, and the Spurs have not gotten a major upgrade. So like, you're still going to be laying a big minus number on Houston. Yeah. But I do think that they're going to be really interesting. They still have the ability to make another move, which I think is interesting, but I like the move a lot for them. God, Phoenix just got killed. They just got killed. And
especially when you consider what they gave up to get Durant not long ago, and combine those two trades and what the roster was to what's left of it now, man, rough shape.
Yeah. And
the what, 3 or 4 first round picks. The pick that they get back here, I think, was literally their own pick. So they're just canceling out one of those. No?
Nope. They didn't get a single one of their picks back. They didn't get
the number 10 pick in this draft. That wasn't
yeah. That one was theirs.
That's what I'm saying. So they really got back one of their own picks in it. And so they ended up trading away Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, and I think 3 firsts, minus the one they just got back. So 3 more still to come, I believe. And they got that they got not a playoffs with Kevin Durant this year. They made it last year. They got no wins. They got swept last year when I picked them to win the series. Good job by me. That's it. That's what they got out of the deal. And now they have a roster that Jim Turvey and I did a most likely to win the championship in the next 3 years. And we also did on buckets here a most likely to make next year's conference finals. I gave the Suns 0%, not even like a courtesy 1%. The Suns were in my group with like the Wizards and Bulls and Jazz at the bottom. That's where the Suns have gone. And then they went and got Jaylen Green and Dillon Brooks out of this. Let me pivot a little bit back to Houston for a second. Let me give you an early long shot. I'm going to see if I can talk you into this. Okay. Do we agree, given the state of the East, we'll get there, that the best record in the NBA comes from the West next season in all likelihood?
Yeah.
Okay. We also agree that the favorite clearly for that is Oklahoma City Thunder, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The Rockets were the 2 seed this year. What if the Rockets, with the floor of the defense and an improved offense, some amount of improved, overtake the champion Thunder and top the 1 seed in the West, maybe like 10 wins better than anyone in the East, 10 wins better than anyone else other than the Thunder. Shea's got his MVP already. We're tired of Jokic MVPs already. Kevin Durant is leading the league in scoring on his new team on a homecoming in Texas at age 37. He's 80-1 to an MVP right now. I know we don't bet on old guys. There's a pretty good narrative there. What do you think?
I think it's a really fun bet that if you cash feels really good. Like that is that is one of those, like that's I mean, it's a Brandon Anderson bet, 80-1 bet on the narrative. I can't get there for a number of reasons based around one, like patterns of his EPM over the last couple of seasons. He is going to be 37 games available, is going to be always a challenge at this point in his career, etc. But also, like, look, if they're the 1 seed and Durant's averaging 30, then yeah, like he'll be in the discussion. He will absolutely, and that's all you need.
He'll be, especially if you have a cash out option. I'd love to get my 80-1 and cash it out in like January, because just the games played alone is reason enough to not bet this, because like just literally just give me odds on will Kevin Durant play 65 games and qualify. I'm already chopping at like, I don't know what's the fair price on Durant plays 65 games next year, like plus 800 or 1,000 or something. Like just that alone seems like you'd have to really lay some price on it. But I think it's a fun ticket, and I think 80-1 is too long. He's priced the same right now as Donovan Mitchell. He's priced the same as Paolo Banchero. He's longer than Joel Embiid. I'd rather have KD than those tickets, but you know, just a little nibble or taste, perhaps, if you like the narrative. But the Rockets, I'm excited to see what the Rockets can be with this. I'm not going to be betting into the team right now. I think for the same reasons we just said on the Kevin Durant injury front, when KD inevitably misses a few weeks or a month next year at some point, they're going to be in rough shape. They're not going to have much offense left over on that team, and he's going to miss some time, and then your odds are going to dip. So don't buy now at the high price. Wait for the Durant inevitable injury to miss a few weeks. It's going to happen, and then you can buy the dip there if you want it, because the Thunder are going to win the games and the Rockets are going to be still around. It's a long time ahead. Don't invest in Houston now. Don't invest in Phoenix ever, maybe.
Yeah, the Suns are well and truly screwed. Didn't get any of their future picks back. Didn't land Jabari Smith. Didn't land Alperen Şengün. Didn't land Amen Thompson. Got none of those 3. I thought, like, all right, you could do Jaylen and Jabari. That's reasonable. Yeah. And then they're like,
no Jabari.
How about Dylan instead? And it's just, I really, you know, and it's proof of they gave Jaylen this contract, and it was really like, are you sure you're not going to regret that? And it's just like, look, it's going to eat up salary, and it's the type of contract you can try and be like, young star sometimes scores 30. And it's just like every single metric that we have is just like, no, Jaylen Green is an empty stats chucker. Like that's just like that is what the numbers we have now. I think Jaylen's gotten a lot better at a lot of things.
Yes, for sure. And still pretty young too. Still can get better.
And this is something I will say. This is something I've thought a lot about, which is, you know, Shea was in his second year when he was traded, and Halliburton was in his second year when he was traded. And both of those guys were thought of as like, hey, they could be stars someday. Like they might make an all-star team. And instead, it's like Tyrese Halliburton had the most clutch postseason in NBA history before tearing his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the first player since LeBron James to win Finals MVP and MVP. And oh, by the way, he was scoring leader too. So it's like, I've been looking for these guys where it's like, can you find guys that you can say, hey, they could be like, they have star potential, but we're still kind of like, yeah, I mean, now they're like just pretty good. And there's a lot of, they're pretty good. Who are those guys to be able to get in on? And I don't know that Jaylen crosses the pretty good line for me, but he's had moments. And so there's the possibility of improvement.
Well, speaking of the Pacers, what about Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis? The previous version of the Pacers that got us to this version, maybe Jaylen Green can't be Shai. That's fine. We're not going to get a lot of just, we found Shai somewhere. The Pacers traded away Paul George ages ago and got 2 guys that became franchise cornerstone all-stars developed in Indiana's culture. And I know Sabonis has limitations. Sabonis is what got them Halliburton. Here we are. Like this is, we did the whole thing. So maybe Jaylen Green doesn't have to become SGA. Maybe Jaylen Green can become Sabonis or Oladipo and be the enough improvement to be the next step to the next step after that. Since we're doing draft podcasts, I'm going to give a draft take here. I talked you into this bet already. So Phoenix gets the number 10 pick in the draft, their own pick back to them. All right, Phoenix, have you even been scouting guys in the top 10? Have you been watching these guys? Because you didn't have a pick anywhere up here, and suddenly you do days before the draft. Well, guess what? There's a guy in Phoenix who I know knows at least one guy in the draft, Matt Ishbia, the owner who likes to have his way. he played a little basketball with Jason Richardson at Michigan State back in the day. Jason Richardson, you might understand, is the father of Jace Richardson. We got the Michigan State heritage where Matt Ishbia played. What about Jace Richardson at number 10? I talked you into it. I bet it at 40-1. It's already been in the app. 40-1 is gone. I saw 28-1 earlier today. I saw 16-1. I wouldn't really go much further than that. He's more like 9 or 10 at a lot of books now. I think, the intrigue of the long shot is maybe gone there. But how about just Matt Ishbia trying to do what he wants? Maybe the trade was, at least I'm getting my dude from Michigan State in here. Maybe that was just part of the icing on the cake for him. So there's your first long shot draft bet amidst the Kevin Durant trade.
Yeah, I love this bet just based off of Ishbia's history with Michigan State. It's just one of those absolutely terrific ones. Now, it would be an extremely frustrating one, I think, for Suns fans. Like, it would just be another kick in the teeth in a series of years where they just keep getting kicked in the teeth over and over and over again. Because they need a center. They need a center so badly. And we'll talk a little bit about coming up about what I think kind of happens at that 10 spot. But I went ahead and bet it with you because I was just like, look, this guy really does have a lunatic thing for Michigan. Like, it is out of control. So I liked it enough. And part of it was I'd heard that Jace his workouts have gone well enough for him to have popped.
Yeah, it is in range enough for him to be a reasonable option there. It's slightly high, but it's close enough to be reasonable.
Yeah, so his over-under right now is 24.5, but his high point is there's actually one person has him over to Ricky O'Donnell. Shout out Ricky, has him at 10, right?
Let's go.
Yeah, everyone else has him in the 20s, and that's fine. I actually have heard that 14 to 18 is possible. He's in that group for a couple of teams. So that's close enough for me to actually be able to believe in this. Now, again, this is a fun bet. And all of these should be considered fun bets when we get to the draft because this stuff is state secrets and it's very hard to figure out. And I honestly think that the biggest problem with draft betting is that a lot of decisions aren't made until the day. They don't. Here's the thing. What do you lose by making what do you lose by waiting to make your decision? By taking extra time to really evaluate your decision. It's a relief on everybody when you're just like, yep, it's this guy, we're done. But a lot of times it's look, we've got options. We don't think that one guy is clearly ahead of the others. And when they do, that stuff almost never gets out, but that's GM sees something and he's in on it. Before we get to the draft though, Boston's made two huge moves. Jrue Holiday goes to the Portland Trail Blazers for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. And then Kristaps Porziņģis goes to Atlanta. And Georges Niang winds up in Boston. And Trey Mann goes to Brooklyn, I think. I got to check the details of that trade.
Brooklyn got another pick. Brooklyn's got 5 first-round picks now, so that's
they're not keeping that. They're not keeping that. That is not
no chance.
They are not keeping that. They are. We'll talk about it. That's a very interesting wrinkle for what it is that they're looking at because there's a lot of stuff I think in play for Brooklyn's going to be fascinating to watch tomorrow night. But let's hit the one up top, which is let's talk about the Jrue one first. What did you think about the Jrue for Simons trade?
Honestly, I felt sad. I felt sad for what, you and I and many other NBA nerds have long loved Jrue Holiday, and to just kind of see him offloaded basically in that way. I don't know. Anthony Simons has become a knockdown, awesome 3-point shooter on volume. It's Boston. He's clearly going to get up a whole lot of threes. Already Steph Curry did not win the threes leader market this year. I think for the first time in a decade. Could be Simons next year. He could be the most threes in the NBA. He does not feel at all like a Boston player to me. I know I'm not a Simons guy. That's not my style of player. He feels to me how I felt about Julius Randle going to Minnesota last year. I was like, I feel like this is salary match as much as anything. This is an expiring deal. Let's see what we can do. This feels like Simons gets flipped at the deadline or something. I don't see this as I don't think Boston traded for Simons. I think Boston traded away Jrue Holiday. So yeah, the whole Boston thing, it's like it happened so fast, right? Like we thought they would have just been playing in the finals just now, and instead you lose a couple games you should have won. Jason Tatum gets hurt, bam. The whole thing is blown up. Like we built toward the Boston thing for like 8 years, got one title. They did it. They got the title. And it's like, man, it's a full reset button is what it feels like. And yeah, the Jrue move, I made the Google Doc that we're looking at earlier today, and I had something in there like Jrue Holiday gets traded. What's Boston's next move, and are they done? Well, they weren't done because we already got a trade since I put that in the doc with the Porziņģis trade this afternoon. So yeah, Holiday in Portland, I guess, is just like the trade for the culture veteran, and see if you can give it to Scoot Henderson, get him some defensive help. And it's weird because Holiday's older. I don't think he's going to be a bad contract. Like you want Holiday around. He's always one of the good guys in the NBA. He's a great veteran. I've learned the value of the culture setter guys. I think I don't mind that for them, but kind of bummed for Boston.
Yeah, and this is just gonna be kind of the reality of the new CBA is that we're gonna see these type of teams, and like Tatum's injury obviously accelerated, I think, the timeline. Right. I think it was funny because in the aftermath, Twitter was like, "Oh man, who are the Blazers gonna send Jrue to?" And like, "Oh, the Celtics got Simons. What a great pickup!" And immediately the reports were, "Yeah, the Blazers are definitely keeping Jrue Holiday, and the Celtics might trade Anthony Simons again."
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they move Simons. I think that when it's like, yeah, but he's such a great 3-point shooter. Sure. Is that a problem for Boston? Like, are they even moving Porziņģis? Are they like, oh man, can't get they deal in volume, sir. Like they need guys that can get him up, and there's a lot of guys that can shoot him. Now, I do think there's a possibility that Simons really develops and expands in their system and becomes an even better player. Like he's entering into a time when he's going to be a little bit sharper. He's not going to be as mistake prone. And again, this is kind of the same deal as Jaylen Green, where it's like, hey, if this is a buy low opportunity and he hits his prime, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, Anthony Simons a 28 points per game per night scorer. You know, you really found something. That's really great because you saved a little bit of money. The Porziņģis deal gets them under the second apron. And that the speculation right now is that there is hope that will allow them to retain Al Horford for another year and to keep Luke Kornet, who's set to be a pretty big target in free agency, to tell you how bad the free agency class is. So like Luke Kornet is one of the bigger, like this is like, that was the whole thing about Boston. I was like, oh, we can keep Luke Kornet now. And I'm like, really? Like I would have rather just kept Porziņģis. That personally me, I would have just wanted them to pay the tax and keep Porziņģis and figure out and just play Xavier Tillman more, or re-sign him on a minimum. So I don't know what to make. Like, I don't think we can make any sort of estimation on Boston. The Atlantic Division market's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah,
because we don't get Boston at like a huge minus number. That's going to be the debate all summer about the Sixers. We're going to be like, you know, maybe now, like we're going to do it again. And then there's going to be long shots on teams like Toronto. I don't know what Brooklyn's going to look like at the end of this. I have no idea. They could look worse. They could look pretty good. They could be set up really great. I actually, by the way, I really do kind of like this deal for them, depending on what they wind up doing with the picks. Cause like Terrence Mann can play. I like Terrence Mann. That was a pretty good get by them. What do you feel like? How do you feel about the Porziņģis fit in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I definitely am intrigued. Obviously, we have no idea how the health is, but yeah, Trey Young, a healthy Jaylen Johnson, who I think people don't necessarily know a ton about yet, still a casual fan per se. I think he was a big loss for them, obviously, at the end of the season. I know Jim Turvey had an article this year about the guys who are worth more than the spread counts them for. And I think it was the Jaylen Johnson All-Stars. Trey, Jaylen, and Porziņģis, I'm interested in that. In an East that we already know is potentially wide open. The problem is all three of those guys, I think, are somewhat injury prone. So how much do we really get them together? But it makes sense conceptually. I think Porziņģis stretching them out a little bit. Bummer for Okongwu, who finally finally they were ready to move on from Capella, and now it's like, oh, psych, we got a different guy in now. Kind of would have been nice for, I realized it wasn't going to go, but Okongwu to Boston as the Horford replacement in this deal, man, that would have been something. Like that was my comp for him coming out. So yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued. I haven't really cared much about the Hawks. Really, we just joked on the post championship podcast about the Hawks being part of the Spider-Man meme of the Bulls and the Kings and the Heat. I think the Hawks are above. I think the Hawks have moved a half tier above. You did it, Atlanta. You made it above the group of Spider-Man, bottom of the play-in. You might still be a top of the play-in team. I'm intrigued. You've captured some intrigue from me.
The problem is, like, Simmons was already talking about it. Like, they're going to be that team. They're going to be that it team we're all on.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
So we're not going to get a good market on it. We might get a pretty good one, but I'm not optimistic about being like, oh man, when we get the win totals.
Well, they're gonna get hurt. There's gonna be ups and downs because they're gonna be missing 2 of the 3 guys at some point. So they're definitely not a go in now. Well, okay. How about right? Well, okay, yeah. Obviously, Orlando is going to be a heavy division favorite, given how Orlando is priced now in the market. Could Atlanta possibly be? I was going to say Atlanta division. Oh, that's right. It's Orlando now. Could Atlanta beat out Orlando? Or could Atlanta beat Orlando? That could be interesting.
Yeah, I think that is worth you'll have to figure out if you think that there is something functionally wrong with Orlando's offense that will prevent it from improving to the necessary level of like 15th or better to keep them outpacing Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think you can make that argument because you can either make it from a coaching standpoint, a Paolo Banchero standpoint. There's a bunch of ways to kind of get there as far as like that not being kind of the case.
And I am contractually obligated to lower my ROI ever so slightly by betting Atlanta to win the division every single year and losing money on it. So that's a good reason too.
You don't have this on the rundown, and I understand it, but just so we're aware of everyone, so because I know that everyone is waiting for this analysis from me. Yes, I did like the Wizards deal. I did like adding CJ McCollum. If they don't move Chris, who opted into his player option, and they keep CJ, that is such a good, stable set of locker room leaders for those kids to get around. Like, that is what I want. That is great culture building right there. You know what good culture and some young talent gets you? 30 wins, which is all we're going to be looking for here. Because I can talk as much as I want. I can blabber about that number all I want, and they're never going to move it above 25. Like, that number is going to be sub 25 no matter what, and I'm going to be on the over. So looking forward to betting the Wizards even more. And I didn't even hate Jordan Poole. He was a terrific pull-up shooter last year. I have no idea what the Pelicans are doing. None. I have no idea. Let's talk draft. Okay. We're going to start at the top. Okay. Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper. I hope that Nico Harrison is able to break out of the janitor closet that they've stuffed him into to regain control and trade that pick, because it would just make the night the absolute best.
Oh, it would be one of the greatest nights of my NBA life.
With the number 1 pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Ace Bailey from Rutgers University. It would just... Nico's been such a gift for us content creators.
What are the give me an odds? Give me a live odds on Shams gets hacked tomorrow, and it is a Nico Harrison is trading the pick or taking Ace Bailey or some version. I mean, it's not long. It's like I'll give you a plus 350. Can I get any action from you?
Sure, it's a plus 350 to Shams gets hacked there. Harper at 2, I will give you my thoughts on it. There is nothing actionable to do here. You should pencil in Harper at 2 and move along. You should just move along. What I will tell you is this. There is a lot of presumption about San Antonio based off of conversations held with them about the pick. They have projected they're taking Harper, and that's it. I don't trust any of it because San Antonio is a free thinking organization that is not going to get caught up reading mock drafts. They're not going to get caught up reading hype. They're not going to get like they will be thorough with their process about who they should take for their program. And if they don't think it's Dylan, they will not take Dylan. Every indication is that they think it's Dylan. Dylan is far and away the number 2 prospect. Like everyone agree. Mm-hmm. Most people agree. One of the annoying ones, like here's a good example of the kind of bullshit that I deal with in gathering information on this stuff. There were 2 teams in the top 10. I will not say who, that I was told by reliable sources that if they had landed number 2, we're not going to take Dylan Harper. They were adamant about this. They were not going to take Dylan Harper. And I was like, ooh. And then you think about it, and it's like, you could say that because you didn't land the number 2 pick. Exactly. Do you know how hard it is to pass on the best talent available to go for your guy? Like, that's the thing about the Spurs, is they're in a position to do so because they're the Spurs. They're run by Greg Popovich. Like, they're run by RC Buford. Like, they have that kind of institutional strength. It's hard to do that. But these things do make me wonder. It just makes me wonder. I do not think that Fox, Castle, Harper. Fox is fine because Fox is paid. I do not think Castle and Harper are excited about having to compete for the other guard spot. And I think that that's going to be something to watch tomorrow night. Again, pencil them in. You asked this one. Flagg is minus 400 rookie of the year at BetMGM. Is that a fair price? I'll ask you that. I think we'll do a full breakdown of rookie of the year tomorrow night and find guys that will not win because our bets on draft night never win. Our summer league bets have done okay. We got to see them, but our night of, we're always like, how about not this guy? How about this guy? And then we see him at summer league and we're like, oh no, it was the first guy all along. But minus 400, do you think it's fair for Flagg?
I mean, it's such a short price. This far, like, do not bet minus 400 on Cooper Flagg. Like, whether you think it's him or not, giving your books your money to get a 1-4 payout 10 or 11 months from now, like, Cooper, I don't even know that Cooper Flagg has any real injury history, but he gets anything. Like, nobody plays 82 anymore. People play like 72, 75 games. Okay, you get like one rolled ankle where you get 3 weeks off or something. Pick a rookie and give me minus 400 for them to play 65 games and qualify. I don't even know if I'm like so excited to do that necessarily. Cooper is probably playing what I would consider out of position this season as a small forward. We talked about this on the other buckets conversation. By the way, you can hear, if you're wondering, like, who are these guys? What's the scouting report? That's not this podcast. That's the other one. Go listen to the other one. I'll tell you all about the guys. I think it's an interesting spot for Cooper Flagg. He's going to get to run some point because Kyrie is out. That's good for his development. That's good for his rookie of the year stock, probably, because he's going to get some assists. You know how we love the PRA with rookie of the year. He's probably going to get some time being the dude when Anthony Davis is out. He's definitely the correct rookie of the year favorite. He should not be minus 400. That would imply that a book should offer me plus 400 on Cooper Flagg not to be the rookie of the year. And I would smash that bet just on he can't be 80% better than every other player on whose team we don't even know where they land yet. That's just not, things aren't that certain. Please don't bet minus 400 on Cooper Flagg rookie of the year right now.
That's well said. And that's, I think, pretty much all I got on those two. I think when you're doing the exactas, you need to just like
put them in.
Yeah. If you're doing the exactas on 1-2, put Flagg and Harper. Understand the risk here, because I'm telling you, like, I personally do not think that Harper 2 is as much of a lock as the market. That does not mean that he's not a lock. I am just expressing, like, I can't help this nag. Like, there's a little thing in the back of my head being like, yeah, I don't know, man. This is the Spurs. Now, bear in mind, I absolutely 100% had convinced myself that the Oklahoma City Thunder were not going to take Chet Holmgren. And then later was told by somebody very high in that organization, oh, we loved him since November. Yeah, no, that was done forever. And I was like, I should have, and I was like, why? I had no idea. And they were like, you didn't ask. And I was like, so
yeah, for me, the Dylan Harper thing, in my opinion, on what my scouting matters zero. I'm not pretending otherwise. To me, in this particular draft, I have Dylan Harper closer to 1 than I do to 3. Not even because of a Flagg statement, because it is, to me, is a big drop from Harper to any of the other options after that. To me, if I'm the Spurs, again, I'm not the Spurs. My opinion doesn't matter. If I am, here's how I'm thinking about my roster. Wemby, Dylan Harper, will figure the rest out. That's the order of operations. Steph Castle won Rookie of the Year from an abysmal rookie class. De'Aaron Fox is a good player. De'Aaron Fox was free. De'Aaron Fox they wouldn't be trading for him if Harper was coming later. They lucked into that. He's that good of a prospect to me in his upside of what they can be. I would start with Wemby and Harper. It's a good problem to have too many guys. They had Jeremy Sohan running point guard 2 years ago on this team. Now they have 3 point guards. That's a good problem.
Dylan Harper signed a Nike endorsement deal.
Okay, interpret that for me.
If Nico Harrison gets out of that janitor's closet, and it's a New Balance guy versus Dylan Harper, who you say is closer to 1 than 3. Imagine the Spurs getting Cooper Flagg to pair with Victor Wembanyama.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's the real story there. Oh man, that would be wild.
That would be wild. All right, but the real draft starts at 3.
Right.
Okay. A lot of questions about this one. The original thought was Ace is the 3rd best talent, so Ace is just going to go 3rd. And then all this nonsense started kicking up. And I will say, it was much faster. All of this stuff about the workouts, this is behind. That's like the end of this news cycle. I am saying at the combine, immediately there was that it started to be out of nobody wants to be the one that has to take Bailey. This is how it's been described. Everybody wants him to be off the board because they don't want to pass on him, but they don't want to take him.
Yeah. You don't want to be responsible for it either direction.
Right. And so VJ is a much safer choice. VJ makes the most sense with the Sixers. He's a guy that I was talking to one scout and it was like, he's the type of guy that does all the winning. He said this specifically me. He's like, Matt, he does all the winning play shit that you love. Like all the stuff that you over-index on. He likes that. He does that stuff. And so it's just like, he's a very complete player. He doesn't come with all the nonsense. The Sixers, Morey is pretty immune to personality stuff. But at the same time, like, I don't think that you need a kid that's going to come in and be like, I'm taking Jared McCain's job, or I'm going to be the real star on the, like, I just don't think that you want to mess with that. You have a very delicate situation anyway, and VJ fits very easily into this slot. So as of, we're recording this at 10:41 p.m. on Tuesday night. The consensus around the league to people I've talked to is that VJ goes 3.
What, we can bet on this. Give me a percentage confidence. What percent confident are you that it's VJ who goes 3rd?
60%.
Okay. So don't bet VJ because 60% would imply minus 150. He's getting steamed into, I forget, last I saw, like -3, -400 sort of range. Remember, in the last multiple NBA drafts in a row, again, we're thinking the 3 is really the number 1 pick. Remember the 24 hours leading up to the draft? We got these huge swings, whereas like, oh yeah, something leaked out and Paolo's definitely going number 1. And then like 2 hours later, something leaked again and Paolo's definitely not going number 1. It's Jabari going number 1. And we got these like -4,000 and then -2,000 to the other guy and back and forth. So here's where I'm at on this. Again, my opinion on the scouting doesn't matter. Looking at the guys, I think VJ is all the stuff I like too. I'm going to love VJ as an NBA player. I don't think you can make a great case that he has anywhere near the ceiling of what Ace Bailey could be if Ace becomes what he should be and VJ becomes what he should be. Just as an NBA star talent upside situation, if there's any GM in the league that's going to not give two farts about what anybody cares about, who came to interview and who did. Like, Daryl Morey doesn't give a rip what you think. If Daryl Morey thinks Ace Bailey is the guy that he wants, Daryl Morey might just take Ace Bailey anyways, no matter whether Ace likes it or whether his agent likes it or anything. So I will bet, and I'm probably going to wait because I'm going to give you the number now, but I think the number is going to get longer. I'm looking to bet Ace at 3 as a long shot bet. It's 6-1 right now. I think it gets longer. It's been steadily getting longer as people get more and more confident in VJ. Remember, I bet on overconfidence. I bet against overconfidence. So I'm going to bet Ace at 3. And now I'm going to let you play this out for me. If Ace goes at 3 and VJ falls, now what happens? And I'm going to escalator my Ace bet if he does go at 3. What happens if Ace goes at 3 to VJ?
VJ goes 4, and he will either go to Charlotte or he will wind up in a trade to the Washington Wizards at 4.
Interesting.
So I think VJ goes 4.
Right. And I do too. So you can do the exact 4. We know 1 and 2, Flagg Harper, presumably. Ace 3. Okay, VJ goes 4 in that scenario. Looks to me like VJ 3 or 4. Like VJ to go top 5 is like minus 5,000 at books. Yep. Everybody knows this is happening. So you do the exact 4 is kind of an escalator to the Ace play plus 950. And again, that should get longer. Also, I personally like the idea of Jeremiah Fears at 5 as an upside swing to a Utah team that doesn't need to be tied to the point guards on the roster. They've got new regime there. So if you add that one in and go to the exact top 5, the top rung of the escalator ladder plus 3,100, that's my top of the draft long shot play of just, that would shake everything up. It'd be not at all what we're expecting right now, but Ace 3, VJ 4, Fears 5, 31-1.
I don't mind the Ace play based off of it being Morey at 300 at 600. It's a good price. It's a really good price on Ace at 3, because I do think the Sixers are open to trades. There's a number of ways that you win this bet without the Sixers taking Ace Bailey. The Pelican stuff I think has been a little overstated. I think that they're like, yeah, if he falls to 8, we take him, right? Even more than they. My understanding is they like, or 7, I believe. My understanding is they have other guys that they are like circled in on and 7 and ready to go with. But I also think that if Bailey were there, they'd be like, this is really good value and we'll take him. Brooklyn, I think, is maybe the most interesting one here. And the reason that that's interesting is a lot of smoke about the Nets potentially being willing to take on the Paul George contract. And so if they take on the Paul George contract and they are able to give the Sixers multiple assets and they send a player of value, right, like Cam Johnson, and the Sixers are able to say, we already got Jared McCain. We don't really need the young guy. We got Cam Johnson, and we moved the Paul George deal. If they're able to do all of that in one move, that makes a lot of sense. Utah is the other one, and that one's really fascinating. Early on, Utah was mentioned as an ace team. And then Austin Ainge was hired, and that went away. But the question is just like, maybe that's changed. Maybe in the draft evaluation, they've come back around. And I think that's part of this conversation, because that leads us to number 4. Let's say for right now, the VJ goes 3.
Okay.
You've lost your bet. I apologize. At 4, Charlotte has been all over the place. They've been all over the place. And teams that I've talked to people with, or that are close to those teams, have been frustrated with the fact that Charlotte seems to be working a lot of different sides here. They're going to take VJ. No, they don't like VJ. They're going to take VJ because the Wizards want VJ. No, they don't want VJ because the Sixers are going to take VJ, and the Sixers want the Hornets to trade up to take VJ. Like this entire wheel of nonsense, right? And I understand the frustration with it. What I will tell you is that the latest stuff that I was told, a couple people told me this tonight on Tuesday night, is that the Hornets are at least making noise to teams bluffing that they're going to take Ace at 4. that they'll just figure it out. It makes no sense. It's not the right move for them. They do not need to add Ace Bailey to that locker room. They do not need to add his skill set to LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. There is like no world in which this makes sense. But I think that they feel like they're getting squeezed by other teams. Wizards, Nets, Utah on Bailey. And they're trying to get I think the Hornets would be great moving back. I think they would love to move back and either get Kon Kneuppel, who could be the guy anyway. I think they'd be okay with Jeremiah Fears. And I think that they'd be okay moving back and taking Kasparas Jakučionis. That's kind of where I think Charlotte is at, to the point where I put in a bet tonight and it's logged in the Action Network app on Bailey at 4.
Oh, okay.
Based off of this outcome, because I do think that there's a chance that either some team is like, all right, fine, you bluffed us out here. It just makes a lot more sense from that perspective. Now, I should also mention that I have a Jeremiah Fears ticket plus on top 5 because I heard great things about his combine, his interviews, his workouts. So I have a pre-existing. That ticket's now lower. Him to go top 5 has gone down at the market, actually, which is funny because it's like we're running out of names for them to be able to be here. He's down to plus 170.
I saw it may have dropped a little, but I saw it was like a plus 375 yesterday. I saw a plus 290 this afternoon. It was different. So, as all of these shop around, I like that bet also. And I'm interested in what you're saying because I was looking to bet Fears at exactly 5, not as top 5. You know how I do, get the better price. At the book where I saw the plus 290, exactly 5 was plus 300. So it only got me 10 cents extra. No, thank you. I'll take the range of outcomes. If there's no trades, I think 5 is the only real place for Fears in the top 5. He's not going 1 or 2. A tiny point guard for the Sixers or for the Hornets with LaMelo doesn't make sense. For Utah, sure, it makes sense. But given the possible trades that can mix into that as well, just pay attention. Look, top 5 versus exactly 5. Check before you bet. See how much the difference is before you consider that. But that's another bet for me as well in Fears top 5.
I do have an exacta here.
Okay.
Flagg, Harper, VJ, Ace, Trey Johnson at 5.
Okay.
22-1. So that's following that kind of pattern. The odds are very good that one of us is that you're either going to hit that plus 600 or I'm going to be able to be within range of this plus 2200. I also have that top 4: Flagg, Harper, VJ, Ace, and then Fears at 5. Because I do think that you're right that Fears to Utah makes a lot of sense. What'll be interesting though is like if Utah moves up, what happens? Like Fears might be the one that slides. I thought it was going to be Ace, and I will say that like there is a possibility that this is a bad night for Ace Bailey.
Yeah,
that everybody is just
being like, that dude in the green room, just like the camera keeps coming back to you.
He absolutely could be that dude. This is the predictable kind of boomerang that we're seeing in 24 hours before the draft, where it's like all for 2 weeks, it's been Ace Bailey's falling, Ace Bailey's falling, Ace Bailey's falling. And now it's like, but what if Ace Bailey goes way higher and is back to the original position that he was projected to? I do think that's an interesting one. What I am kind of leaving out here is the possibility of Kneuppel. There's a lot of smoke around just like this is the Ace falls scenario, and it's Flagg, Harper, Edgecombe, 4 goes Kneuppel, and then 5 is like Trey Johnson or Fierce. And then Ace falls to 6, and the Wizards take him. And then I cry because the Wizards do all these things to try and make themselves into a more professional organization and then draft Ace. The kid is supposed to be really nice, by the way. I just want to I want to be really clear on this, that Ace can be an amazing player. I don't do most of the scouting stuff anymore, not only because I don't think I'm very good at it, but like I like going into these things being like, the kid could be great. He could be amazing. Who knows? I'm telling you like what people are saying. And Brandon's able to come in and be like, based off of my analysis of watching this tape, this is what I see from him. Okay.
Let me, before we move on, I'm going to circle back slightly. I'm just kind of perusing through books. We're literally getting new bets and markets added like just the night before the draft now. This is not a new one. At one prominent book, Dylan Harper has been taken just off the board. Like you can't even bet the number 2 pick at a lot of books. At one book, he's down, and I know down is relative here, but he's down to minus 5,000. VJ is down to only 25-1 to go the number 2 pick. They're offering a special. They're offering a 28-1 special at this place. If you want to bet them, 28-1 for VJ. So here's the smarter way. You talked about the possibility, Matt, of the Spurs maybe not taking Dylan. I did bet on that possibility in a way a couple weeks ago. If Dylan doesn't go to the Spurs, is he just the 3rd pick, either to Philly or somebody trades for him? If he's really the clear number 2 guy, he can't slide far. Dylan Harper to be the number 3 pick. So maybe it's not even a VJ. Who knows who the Spurs took? But Dylan goes 3rd at this book is 40-1. Can interest you in just a long shot stab at Dylan isn't a Spur. Somebody takes him 3rd and the Spurs shocked us.
Yes. But I want to be, I can't sit here and be on this program and be like, hey, I got inside information. The Spurs.
No, that's not the show. We're not doing that tonight. No. We're betting long shots.
No, it's absolutely a long shot play. But there are things about these things from an organizational standpoint that I do try and take into consideration. And one of them is absolutely that the San Antonio Spurs are not a team that feels the need to leak anything ever. And all the information is external. Dylan thinks he's going to. I'll tell you that. Like Dylan thinks he's going to.
The same books has a boost for Jeremiah Fear's top 5 pick at plus 250 right now. We talked about that one. That may be the best price out there now.
Okay. All right. So now we're into the 4 through 8 range. Like I said, Kneuppel can go 4. I do wonder what happens if he slides. Because I think there's going to be a run on big men in 7 through 10. That's what I think is going to happen, is we're going to see a lot of runs on the bigs, 7 through 10. And that doesn't mean that they won't have these guys on the board or they won't take them. But it is just kind of like an interesting kind of question with Kon of just, okay, if somebody talks themselves into Fears over Kneuppel in a choice spot, like let's say that it gets to 6 and the Wizards are just like, no, we'll take Fears. We're good with Fears. We'll take Fears over Kneuppel. Okay, if Knippel's is still on the board, do the Pels take him? If the Nets are still in that position, do they take him? Where do these guys go? I think those are interesting questions to kind of ponder as far as like who could slide. I've been surprised that Yakachonis has slid because there was a lot of talk about him being in like that top 5 conversation. Now he's he's moved down the board pretty considerably. Yakachonis currently has an average range about 11 is where he's kind of projected at. He's got anywhere between 8 and there's actually Kevin O'Connor has him 22nd. So in his latest mock draft, everybody else is 13 to 8 in that kind of a range. I was kind of curious about that because I thought he might go earlier, but Malawach is definitely the guy I think that has worked himself. Like I think one of the things I've noticed in covering the draft, Brandon, there are these guys that pick up steam and teams start being like, ooh, let's move up so we can get this guy, only to find out that word has gotten out about that player. And now the other teams above them that are still above them are in position to take him. Yeah. And Malawach reminds me of Josh Giddey, where there just seems to be a pretty big run on Malawach. And there's a chance to me that he could go very high. I don't want to necessarily I haven't been able to talk myself into the plus 550 for him to go top 5. The fits are too weird and random, but it is like an interesting question if somebody is just like, this is the guy. But Malawach is the one that I think has taken the most energy behind him in the last 2 weeks.
That's interesting. Malawach reminds me of Josh Giddey also, because I don't want either one of them anywhere near my NBA team. I have Malawach like 24th or something on my board. I think he's an entirely theoretical player. I described him on the previous Buckets episode as, hey, you know, when you have a cool poster of a guy dunking, Malawach is the other guy on the poster. That's what I think he's going to be in the NBA. That's how I feel about him. However, I say that because I had in my notes as a possible bet. You can bet the over-under on Malawach. It's at 8.5 right now, and it is heavily juiced to the under. It's like plus 205 to the over. Why is that? Is it just why 8.5? Like normally they put that number right where they expect at a lot of mocks. It's the pick right before. The 8 pick is Brooklyn. Is there a Brooklyn Malawach rumor? Like, talk to me about the 8.5. Talk me out. Like, this is entirely, again, I don't have the intel. You're the intel. Yeah. I just don't like him as a prospect. Why 8.5? And why is it juiced so heavily?
Couple things. One, he's the guy most teams are most likely to trade up for, and you've got an opportunity to trade up to 7 and potentially to trade back at 8. I don't know why this keeps coming up, but there keeps being like the Sixers and Malawach stuff, which makes 0 sense with Joel. It makes no sense. And when I checked in on it, was told like was laughed at. Like I was laughed at by somebody that is more knowledgeable about things than I am. I think 7 though, Pels is the spot.
Yeah.
So here's a good question.
Sense to me.
Yeah. So here's a question. If Ace Bailey is on the board at 7 and Malawach is on the board at 7, who does Joe Dumars take?
Yeah, and I think the answer tells us a lot about what Joe Dumars thinks the future of Zion is on the team. Because to me, that's why Malawach makes sense there. There is a thought that Malawach is going to be able to shoot. I don't buy it at all. I think it is, again, very theoretical with him. Mm-hmm. He looks comfortable shooting, but I don't think the shot is fast enough. I think it's one of those like, oh, well, you know, Valanciunas shoots threes. Now, get out of here. Valanciunas shoots like 1-3 a game. They don't defend him out there. It's not a real thing. If you think he is a unicorn center, we know that's what you want to put with Zion. There's always the talk about the Miles Turner trade. Like, to me, if you take Malawach, that is a recommitment to Zion, because I think that's a pairing you're trying to do. If you take Ace, that is maybe a commitment away from Zion. Like, let's get a new face of the franchise maybe here. Try something new. I'm seeing right now there's draft specials at one of the major sports books out there. Let me give you a couple opportunities here. Here's one. Cooper Flagg, Kon Kneuppel, and Malawach, the 3 Duke guys, all top 5 picks. Are you interested? It's plus 255.
No, because there's enough buzz around Fears and Trey Johnson that I don't want to get involved in it. So
yeah, to me that's an easy no. Dylan's going top 5, so you're out of options. Like Cooper's a lock. Kneuppel and Malawach have to be 2 of the other 3 top 5 picks, because we already know Harper's going to be one of them. I don't want that. You might like this one though, because then have to be top 5. Kneuppel and Malawach to be drafted in consecutive picks. Wherever they go, 4 and 5, 5 and 6, 6 and 7, somewhere in that range, presumably, plus 190 for your Duke guys to go back to back. What do we think about that one?
I still can't get there. I think there's a chance that Kon goes 4 and then Pell's 7. If you were just to be like, what is the most likely outcome here? It is based off of where we're kind of at. It's Kon goes 4 and then Malawach is gone at 7. Yeah. So with that piece of information, I don't want to. I don't mind if you want to take it, because they are in the same range, right? Like these things are all very fungible. It's just like I can't go against something if it's like, oh, I think that this is the most likely kind of thing.
But to me, I fully agree. I'm not betting either one of those things, but specifically because to me on the draft, either you take a stand on a guy where you're like, okay, here's the over under. I've heard good intel. They're going under. This is the range for them. I'll bet the minus 140. I've got the information. I'm going to take it. Either you do that, you bet the certainty thing, or you bet the crazy long shot. You can't bet the narrative fun thing that's not priced as a long shot. Like if you want to bet the Duke guys to go top 5 because it's available at your book at 15-1, because it's kind of a fun 3 Duke guys top 5. By the way, speaking of which, 3 Duke guys top 5 or whatever the number is, Matt Moore, Duke and North Carolina are the big rivals. Can you tell me the last time a North Carolina player was drafted in the top 5?
I cannot. I never can remember this stuff. When was the last time it was?
2005. There have been 10
Was that Sean May?
10, I think so. There was two guys. I think it was Sean May and like Raymond Felton, maybe. Is that right? Is that the two?
Yeah.
That's when. So I think Sean May was 5. I think Felton was earlier. I forget the direction, but there's been 10 Duke guys taking top 5 since then. There will be at least 11, possibly 12 or 13 after tomorrow night. No North Carolina guys in sight. It's kind of a crazy number.
Okay. Let's move to, you love Jeremiah Fears. Oh, by the way, Antonio wants to know, how do you think of the comparison between Malawach and Brook Lopez coming out of Stanford?
I think that is an aspirational comparison. I think we want Malawach to be Brook Lopez because he's a big, he blocks shots, he shoots and spaces the floor. That's what you want Malawach to be. That's why we like the idea of him with Zion. I think if you believe in him, that's the thing you are believing him to be. I don't believe in it because I find the frame too thin. I think he has, I don't know what the word is, soft hands, not in a good way. Like I don't trust his hands to snatch rebounds, to get to the right spot. His final game in his career at Duke is in the Final Four against Houston. Physical team, fast team, NBA type team of who he's going to have to play against. He plays most of the game. He has 0 rebounds. You're like 8 feet tall, bro. You can't get 1 rebound in an entire Final Four game. That is a terrible way to go out. I don't believe in the shot. You want him to be Brook Lopez if you're taking him. I think it's theoretical, but I think it's a good comp if you like him.
Okay. What makes you like Jeremiah Fears so much?
I think it's by absence of loving too many other guys in the draft as much as anything. I'm in on Flagg. I'm in on Harper. It's a big drop after that. On the previous Buckets episode, I talked about, to me, at the top of the draft, I'm at the top of the draft because my team's not good. I'm taking home run swings. I'm not really that interested in, I like Kon Kneuppel. I think he's going to be a good pro for a long time. I really like VJ Edgecombe. As soon as the draft happens tomorrow, he's immediately going to be a guy that I start pounding on the table. I'm like, you know who's underrated? VJ Edgecombe, the metrics and all the BPMs and everything. He's going to be that guy. Ace Bailey, I think, is a star swing. I still have him top 4, even though I hate the type of player he is. Jeremiah Fears is my number 3 on my board. I just think you watch him and he pops. He's going to run right by you. The electric speed, his ability to, he has one of the best handles I've seen in the draft in years. Just an incredible handle that will be like top 10, maybe top 5 the moment he comes in. He's little. He doesn't finish at the basketball, but he gets there a lot. He's one of the youngest players in the draft. I think he's probably a couple years away because of that. He's going to have to kind of fill out some strength, but he gets to the basket and gets to the free throw line a lot. His shot is a big question mark, but Matt, you know, we always look at free throw percentage is a good indicator of future shooting ability. He shot 6.3 free throws a game as a freshman in the SEC, where half the good teams in the country were this year. He shot over 6 a game. He hit 85%. That's a very good portending for his future free throws, his future 3-point percentage. He reminds me maybe of a Darius Garland type. So not a super duper star, but a really good player and an actual star and a franchise type player. To me, I would rather take the swing at that. Especially if I'm like a Washington, a Charlotte, a Utah, a team that doesn't have the franchise guy. That's why I like Fears as a possible franchise guy. To me, even a VJ Edgecombe or Kon Kneuppel, I can't get there on that ceiling. Now, again, that's me, the draft evaluator, and that's me how I would draft a team. I'd rather take the swing at the home run, strike out instead, and then take another swing next year, then do like the slow incremental thing. Every team's going to be a little different there, but that's why I really like Fears. We talked about him as a top 5 pick already, so that's why I had that in the rundown there. Let's go to like back of the lottery. Any other names here? You talked about Malawach. Who else is on your radar in this range?
Before we get there, I want to talk about Underdog, Brandon, because Underdog's amazing. Go yard all baseball all season long with Underdog's Pick'em game. Underdog's one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like home runs, strikeouts, total bases, and so much more. Once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. And if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code BUCKETS100 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code BUCKETS100. It must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-MY or text HOPE-MY. Range that we're getting to here is where I really think a lot of the value can be found.
I agree.
And this, I will start.
Do you mean value as a bettor or value in the draft or both?
As a better.
Yeah, that's where I'm agreeing to.
And so a good one to start is that Noah Esenge, I think the market is a little behind where his evaluation has gone because I think his stock has tailed off quite a bit. His over-under in the market is 9.5, and yet he is mocked in most places at 13.
Yeah, it's really heavily juiced to the over though, right? I think it's been like it was like minus 130, 40, and then I've seen it like 200 and higher now some places.
And so the bet I like, Brandon, is Derek Queen is plus 110 to go ahead of him at one book.
Okay.
You can find it under matchups. And so what I have come to understand is the part of the Malawach thing, there is a team in the, I'll just say it. There is a lot of conversation that the Raptors are looking very closely at Queen, at Carter Bryant, at Colin Murray Boyles, because they think Malawach is already off the board. And what I've heard is this teams that are looking for centers, it's Malawach and then Queen. That doesn't have to be how it happens on draft night. A team can come in and be like, we just liked, from a big man perspective, we like Colin Murray Boyles better. We liked Esenge better. Like whatever, that could absolutely happen. But I do think when we look at both the mock drafts aggregate, and we look at where Queen has been evaluated at, I think there's good value specifically on Queen to go ahead of Esenge at plus 110.
Yeah, I predictably hate all of these big men. Like I hate them all in every single draft. I don't want any of them. Matt, the Bulls pick 12th tomorrow and the Timberwolves pick 17th, and they both need big men, and I don't like any of these dudes. So it's going to go great for me. I don't have much more analysis to add. Would you look at Queen top 10 odds? Like how would you escalator it at all?
Yes. So the problem is that Queen at one book is still minus 115 top 10.
Okay. So the escalator, we don't have a level for it necessarily. The escalator is, I do like the idea of fading Esenge. I wanted to come in here with that bet just on, frankly, I wanted to bet it on, we haven't been able to really see this guy. He's still playing over in Germany right now. So that could scare some teams away. Well, turns out not. Turns out he ditched his team and he's coming over here for the draft. He literally has a teammate from Israel, Ben Saraf, on his team. Is playing still for Bundesliga for the championship. See you later, buddy. I'm going to the draft. So I don't know. Like, does that mean anything to you as far as a better or draft stock at all? Is there any information for that for us?
From the perspective of what?
Just like, does the fact that he would leave Germany and leave his team behind to come to the draft, does that mean that he's like, oh, he's going to get taken now? He's got to promise something. Is that anything to you?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just based off of the evaluation that there's a confidence that he's going to be
a first round pick. He's going to get drafted. So come to the draft and get yourself taken. His buddy's going to get drafted in the second round. So maybe you don't need to get there for it.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I don't think it's a big deal. I think that I do think the word promise, that word used to back in my day, the word promise
something.
Yeah, it did. Like it used to be very, like you would not hear a lot of promise stuff And now it's like every agent is just like, oh yeah, we got a promise from this team and this team and this team. And it's like, well, okay, cool. And I don't put much stock in the promise stuff anymore. So I try not to take a look at those kind of perspectives.
Antonio Esparza in the comments says Noah being -125 for a top 10 pick is very weird to me. Yeah, me too. Matt, I think would agree too. I would love to bet not top 10 pick. We don't have that. These are one-way markets for a reason, so we don't get to do that. Maybe that's the over, but you're pay through the nose for it. He also says BA hates centers. That's not true. Derek Queen's not a center. He's a power forward. Asenge is not a center. He's a power forward. These guys aren't centers. That's the reason I don't like them. I like centers just fine. Give me Thomas Sober from Georgetown. He's a real center.
One thing you can do, I think, is maybe look at 9 Queen plus 600, 10 Queen plus 350.
That's interesting. So basically just to sneak into the top 10 and give you a couple outs.
It's saying the Raptors or Suns are going to take the best big man available, and Malawach is going to be off the board. If the Rockets had kept the pick, I would not have liked this because there was a lot of smoke that they liked Colin Murray Boyles. So I wouldn't have liked it. So CMB.
Also not a center.
Also.
I like him. He's a Draymond Green type. Draymond Green's not a center. You can be a part-time center. You're not a center. You're a power forward that can play center.
I need to figure out. Hang on, I gotta get my pronunciation guide from my guy Brian Schroeder, who posted this on Twitter. Find Brian J NBA on.
Who are we doing? I might know the name.
Johan Berenje.
Yeah, and I French it up on the last name. Johan Berenje, something like that. But Johan for sure.
Yeah, and from where I'm from in Arkansas, I'd be Joan Behringer.
Yep, that's how I hear it.
That's how I would look at it. But it's Johan.
What do you know about him?
He's probably there's a little bit of value still here in the market. He's a name I think people are late on. So he's at 14.5, and he is most consistently projected at 12. And I've heard a team at 13 likes him very much too, which is the Hawks, who I think still have that pick.
But may not be as interested now that they have Porziņģis.
Maybe not, but I still think they probably want the youth. So because I think the Raptors are not trading Jakob Poeltl under any circumstances because they're insane about Jakob Poeltl. They just cannot love Jakob Poeltl anymore.
Can't trade Jakob Poeltl.
But I still think they're probably going to take a big. So that's kind of one angle to look at for this one. Looking at the other guys that we can get into. Oh, Cedric Coward's an interesting one. You like him, huh?
Yeah, I'm intrigued by him. He had an awesome combine. He is huge. He's 6'5", but he has a 7'2" wingspan, an 8'10" standing reach. That's basically like OG Anunoby. That's Robert Covington. That's I'm a 3, but I'm really a 4, and I kind of can be a 5, right? We've seen like Robert Covington play the center spot at sometimes. We've seen OG do that. That's huge size, is huge defensive potential. It's more potential than actuality with Cedric Coward. He's a cool story. He played D3 3 years ago. He goes to Eastern Washington. This year he transferred to Washington State, but only got 6 games and he got hurt. We know teams like him because we know Duke likes him. Duke recruited him this year, or whatever the transfer portal thing is now. He was going to go to Duke, but then he was so intriguing at the combine that he was the huge leap guy. And normally I'd be like, I don't know, man, like the combine buzz, let's fade that. All right, well, 3 years ago, there's a guy who got a lot of combine buzz out of Santa Clara, and I was like, who's this dude? Jalen. Wait, there's 2 Jalen Williams in this draft? There's 2 of them? He's a lottery pick now? Yeah, he's an NBA champion now, too. 3 years later, he's the second best guy in the team. He was the buzz guy at the combine a couple of years ago. Coward is, I think, a little bit of a project. It's like you hope you can take the frame and the huge hands and the body and kind of meld it to what you want it to be. He shoots pretty well. There's a lot of defensive potential. I'm interested. I'm curious what you have heard about him because over-under is 14.5. So basically in or out of the lottery. I've seen him at the Spurs at 14 in a few mocks. I'm interested in that. I also am interested in there's not a lot of spots left in the top 10, Matt, but I think Coward is the sort of guy I could see a team just taking a shot at 5-1 for top 10. maybe a good escalator bet on him as well. Just on he's my kind of guy. Is he the kind of guy that you've heard other teams interested in?
I think he's right around where the market is on him at 14.5. That to me is like where he should be. Cause I think I've heard the peak I've heard on him is 14, possibly to San Antonio. That's like the peak of where I've heard on him. Okay. Now it's a hop, skip, and a jump to get there. And all you need is one team to be like, I see something. And he had a week about 2.5 weeks ago where he went on a series of workouts and everyone was like he was the name that really skyrocketed. And then it's
this process.
Now, one thing I do want to kind of talk about this is I try and one of the reasons I've dialed back a lot in a lot of this and I try and hedge a lot of it is not only because there's so much nonsense, smokescreen, and bullshit that goes on. And I'm not like, I don't try and present myself as Shams Charania. But the other thing here is what I wind up missing a lot of time is like, oh yeah, they were high on this guy, but then this other guy was there.
Right.
You know, and Trey Johnson is that guy. I haven't heard anything about Trey Johnson. Anything. I haven't heard anything about Trey Johnson. You know what that probably means? Trey Johnson's going to go exactly probably where he's mocked. Like he's going to go right around 5.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's how that goes. So I try not to be like, I've heard this guy's good and this guy's good and they like this guy, and then trying to slot all those in because like you miss like, well, yeah, we liked him, but we didn't think Trey was going to be there, and then Trey was there. So that's part of how it is. Antonio says Coward top 10 3 plus 300 seems very low. Yeah, I mean, I understand why. I mean, I also like that Brandon would bet this though. If you decide to bet Brandon, because I just think that if you've got a guy that you are like, no, this is a guy that can play in the league and it will show and they will see this and a team will be smart enough to identify it. Like, I think that's worth betting. If you do the work on it, I think that's a perfectly fine way of approaching it. I want to get your thoughts on a guy because I hear so many conflicting things on him and I think he's in a really interesting spot. And that is, once again, checking my pronunciation guide, Yegor Demon.
Oh, man.
Talk to me about Yegor.
I finalized my big board today. You'll be happy to know I don't plan on writing 80,000 words about it this year. I don't know if I'm writing any words about it this year. I only have time to do a top 30 this year. Yegor Demon made my cut. He's number 30. I hate this dude. I am not in on Yegor Demon. Could not be more out on Yegor Demon. He only made my top 30 because I ran out of time to find more guys to replace him. For the record, I have Queen 29, Demon 30, and I'm real mad I can come up with 2 more names to slide in and get them out of my first round entirely. I think Demon to me is the most see you in the European League in 3 years point guard lottery prospect that I have seen in a while. He does not have the athleticism to hang in the NBA at all. He does not have a shot or an ability to score at all. He is Josh Giddey if he hits. I love his feel for the game. I love his passing. He's super tall. He's like 6'8". I don't think he's going to be a guard though. I think like Josh Giddey's not really a point guard to me. He's like a power forward that runs the offense. I think that's what Demon is going to end up because he's not fast enough. He's going to be a cone on defense because he can't keep up athletically. I watched a bunch of BYU ball this year. I came around on them eventually in the tournament. They're a fun team to watch. I thought Demon was a fun player to watch at BYU. And I think if he got to keep playing Mountain West teams or wherever the heck BYU is now, like he will in a few years in Europe, I think Demon, can I get odds on Demon to be EuroLeague MVP sometime in his career? That's the bet I want.
Such a hater.
I'm so glad you asked me that.
That's awesome. So you'll love to hear that 2 teams in the top 10 love him.
Excellent.
And if certain events transpire, I would not be surprised if he went top 10. He's plus 225. I can't see any way a team reaches for him in top 5. And he can. An important factor in this, there is a very easy way for him to slide to where he is currently mocked by the experts because his current standard is, looking at it,
he's a really wide range of variants. Like I would be from a betting standpoint, not from a Brandon hates this dude, oh my God standpoint. From a betting standpoint, betting outliers in either direction seems to be the way to go with him because he has been more than anyone, I think, in this year's draft everywhere on mock drafts.
Yeah, his average position since 619 has been 13.8. His over-under is 14.5. There's a lot. It's, I think, juiced over for him. I think.
There's also, I'm curious as you're looking at that, I've seen at multiple books a head-to-head Demon versus Jakučionis. Very similar, like clearly they're both European point guards. I compared them a lot throughout this year. I think Jakučionis is the clearly better prospect because he's a much better shooter and athlete comparatively. But if you like Demon as from a betting standpoint, Jakučionis is pretty heavily juiced in that head-to-head bet. What do you think about Demon at like plus 150, plus 200 head-to-head against Jakučionis?
That's tough. I think if you're going to go that far, you should just bet the top 10 on
that's
Jaeger,
fair.
Right? Like I honestly think probably doing I don't mind trying to middle this. It'd be a fun bet. Again, this is not a serious, don't be dropping major units on it. But I actually kind of do like the over 14.5 and the top 10 on him.
Yeah, the outliers.
Yeah. I like that actually quite a bit. Okay. Let's wrap up. We got a few more to kind of talk about with you. You've got some bets that you want to talk through.
Yeah, let me. So I got 3 names for you here. These are my kind of like long shot sleepers. So we love to say that it's a copycat league. I think we love to say that in the NFL more than we do in the NBA, but I'm going to go with it for the NBA too. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm looking for sleeper bets, right? You know, you can bet on to make the top 20. You can bet on to make the first round. So I'm like, who can I find? Look, I don't know the area of the board as well as I do normally. Normally, I know the names a little deeper. I'm a little shallower this year. I thought it was Walter Clayton. That's the one I wanted. Jill Gallant and I bet Walter Clayton Jr. to be top 20 at 7-1. I believe yesterday afternoon at plus 700 yesterday afternoon. He's down to minus 220 on the same bet today. That's how this stuff goes. These numbers fly. So if you like something, grab it because it'll be gone. Here are the names I came up with. I have 3 names for you that I thought to myself, okay, we just watched the finals, Matt. They just ended seconds ago. What did we learn from these teams? And how do I replicate them? How do I become the Thunder? How do I become the Pacers? I have 3 names for you. Here's how I become the Thunder. Adu Thero, your Arkansas guy. If I want to just wreak havoc and cause turnovers and be an athletic, just absolute nightmare on the court, dude goes 120% at all times. He's coming out of nowhere to dunk. He's just like gambling for steals and blocks and stocks and turnovers and everything. I think he can shoot a little bit. I think he can certainly finish. I really like him as a possible first-round pick of, hey, you know what? Who's the top dude in the draft this year to just go crazy on defense like the Thunder did? There's a plus 125 for just anywhere in the first round to do Thero. Heck, the Thunder have 2 picks. Give him to the Thunder. That's the Thunder play for me. Pacers. How do I be the Pacers? Okay, we heard a lot about weak link theory in the playoffs. The Pacers were the Pacers because they had like 8 dudes that could just keep coming at you. They're good at everything. They just are good. They can shoot, they can dribble, they can pass, they share the ball, they defend well, they do everything. All right, let me give you 2 guys like that. Nick Clifford from Colorado State was a guy that transferred from Colorado to a slightly lower conference, so there is some concern there. He's a guy when you watch like the scouting videos for him and they rate you on like shooting and passing and dribbling and defense, and it's like 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5. He's not great at any particular skill. What he's great at is not being bad at any particular skill. That gets you on the court. That gets you playing time. I think Nick Clifford is a combo guard that can step in. He's an older player, which in this case is good. You can step in and be a rotation guy right away. Top 20 for him is plus 130. And then my last guy is my favorite of these 3. I love Cam Jones from Marquette. Loved watching him for years. I love that at Marquette, he has had a completely different role each year. This year, he was the star and the point guard. It didn't go quite as well for them. I don't think he's a point guard moving forward, but he got to run the offense. His shooting numbers dropped, so I think his stock fell a little bit, but it's a lot of shooting off movement. He'll go back to being a role player now. I think his value will get much better. He, to me, is as Andrew Nembhard coded as you can find a player. He is exactly what I'm looking for in a Nembhard type player of, I'm gonna be a great leader. I'm gonna defend hard. I can pass, dribble, shoot. I can do all the things. Cam Jones is plus 130 for first round. And I know this is a long shot. I have no intel on this whatsoever. Just me reading a guy that I like as an Andrew Nembhard possibility. Top 20 for Cam Jones is 50-1. That's my longest shot on the board. But to me, Adu Thero is the next Thunder dude. Nick Clifford and Cam Jones are the next Pacers dude in a copycat league. So those are my finals copycat picks for my final bets here.
I mean, I think that's all really good analysis. The Cam Jones one, I like the Nick Clifford one. I would say you should probably wait on Thero. I would pass that one by. Just
no first round buzz. I know you're the Arkansas Connect, so this is a name I would trust you to know on.
Yeah, I would wait on that one personally.
Okay. All right.
I'm looking at the top 20 board as well. By the way, Rasheer Fleming is plus 550.
I looked at that one. I'm not a fan, but he is such an interesting player because he has an absolute monster frame, and like he looks fake to me on a profile. He's not a guy you heard a lot of buzz about during the year. He looks like a guy that you would like create an NBA 2K or something, because he like only has he's like Daryl Morey-fied. He's taken away all the twos and the mid-range or whatever. He only has threes and at the rim, and he's super long, but it looks too fake to be like, I think the threes percentage looks really good, but I'm not convinced the shot is as real, because I think it's over optimized. Like, you know how we know how to beat the metrics now with the efficiency. He looks like that to me, but the frame is huge. He might even be a center in the NBA. His size is so big. I'm intrigued by, to me, he could be a Cedric Coward, like a step down, that same of just like, you know what? How about just an unknown? So yeah, I looked at the plus 550 top 20. I think that's a pretty interesting long shot in that range. Have you heard any buzz on him at all?
Yeah, there's some teams in that late like 15 to 20,
just outside the lottery.
Yeah. He's got some fans in there. They have other guys on the board, but I do think there's enough interest there. He's mocked more closer to 26.5. He has lost a lot of stock. I don't think his workouts went great, but I do think that he's got enough on tape for that to be a little bit exaggerated. I think that's at 550. I think there's some value there.
Yeah, I think that one makes sense.
Okay. All right. We've given you lots of bets. We've given you lots of conversation. 90-minute pod. Appreciate Brandon Anderson's expertise on the draft. We will be back tomorrow night after the first round. We'll break it all down. We'll talk about our rookie of the year positions that we're going to lose. We'll talk about our reactions to all the trades, everything else tomorrow night on a late night live edition of this show. My thanks to David Payne, our producer, Gifford Gould, to get handling our video side. Everybody join us in the comments. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Till then, let's get buckets.